construction of the sea organ, architect Nicholas Bash, help of the engineer of hydraulics, Vladimir Androvchev's one famous Croatian composer Ivica Kamac, and of course organ studio Helferer, which is located in Zagreb. And in behind of your bed, if you take a closer look, there is a seating area that reminds us on the piano keys. Yeah, with these dark brown and lighter colors. Europe, Croatia, start to our current January 2023, we released our old demo currency, which is but yes, we are not currently. Actually receives a certain number of students which are studying free of charge. That means that the state covers the costs of their education, and also each university accepts a certain number of students that are paying the tuition for each semester. But the tuition is not as expensive as it is, for example, the average cost of tuition is approximately 1,000 euros per year. Okay, yes, so there are scholarships here. Say it's 1,000 euros approximately.
Евро используют сейчас.
Semesters per year. Wow. Okay, for 4 years or 5. We have this system where people are studying for 3 years to get the bachelor's degree and then additional 2 years to get master's.
Народ, всем привет! Находимся мы в Задаре, или, да, Задар, это Хорватия.
It is for your life standard. For your life standard, yes, it is very cheap, but of course for we have different life standards, you know, everywhere in the world. So. I think we are ready. We're on the promenade.
Друзья, всем привет! Кто только что присоединился, мы находимся в Задаре, это Хорватия. Не забываем ставить лайки, подписываться на канал. Здесь, конечно, холоднее, чем в Италии, где-то порядка 16 градусов всего. Такие здесь мусорчики. Амир, привет. Решут, привет. Вот такой вот городок. Это наш гид.
Dear ladies and gentlemen, as we are walking on the promenade, I have to mention that the first from promenade of Zadat was built in the times of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, at the second half of the 19th and beginning of the 20th century. When the Austrians decided to modernize the city of Zadar a little bit. Until those times, Zadar was completely closed with the city walls. And those city walls, which are standing here on this side, looking towards the islands and the open sea. On the place where we're standing, those city walls, they built a beautiful seafront promenade, the first seafront promenade on Zadar, with numerous residential buildings, palaces, hotels, and with this dock. But at the moment you can see in front of us, which was a dock for the steamship that was connecting numerous Adriatic towns. Unfortunately, in the bombardments of the World War II, almost all of those constructions three buildings that you can see at the moment in front of us at the promenade. The last one belongs today to the University of Zadar, which is, as I've already mentioned, it follows the tradition of the oldest university, which was established on the Croatian soil back in 1396. But the construction itself was built at the beginning of the 20th century as a boarding school for female children. It was named the boarding school of Saint Demetrius, and the girls were taught there how to read poetry, how to play piano, how to sew, and everything else what was back then important for the girls to know. The second building that stands on the promenade next to the bigger building of the university, the small yellow one, belonged to the famous nobleman family from Zadar, family Borelli. And this one, which is at the moment right in front of us, used to be a hotel in those times of Austro-Hungarian Empire, but also later on in the times of Yugoslavia. In Yugoslavia, back in 1964, came prominent movie director who back then just finished filming The Birds, his famous movie. Alfred Hitchcock, together with his wife Alma, stayed in this hotel on Zadar seafront promenade in August 1964. And after his stay in Zadar, he gave a statement to the media. In that statement, he claimed that Zadar has the most beautiful sunset in the world. He said the sunset of Zadar is so much better than the sunset in West And after the statement of his, numerous photographers, numerous journalists from all over Europe came to Zadar just to capture the sunset, which actually goes down that way and behind on the side, understand, in front of us. For a while, Zadar was the main topic in numerous lifestyle columns all over Europe. But until now, these numerous people are gathering every evening on the seashore, the sunset. And after the sunset, the greeting to the sun starts to create this special play of light. So all of that combined together indeed provides one very unique experience and a memorable experience to all the visitors of this small city of ours. We will walk now a little bit on the promenade and we will turn to the left towards the rooms of the Roman Forum Square. Come on, Cara.
Kijk eens uit die hek toe. Maarten, praat jij van een loopje? Toen was het ja.
Интересно, что это за чудо техники, блин? Субмарина. Забавненько. Народ, ставим лайки, не жадничаем. Чем больше лайков, тем больше просмотров, тем больше просмотров, тем больше стримов. Кстати, напишите кто-то в комментариях, если в курсе, почему город называется Задар. Интересное название — Задар. Ну, во всяком случае, для меня звучит Задар очень интересно. Там вот маяк. Там вот какой-то храм католический, похоже. Да, два храма. Один слева, другой с деревьями.
Dear ladies and gentlemen, I will just quickly mention this small island that at the moment stands right in front of us. That is the island of Ostia. It is located in the middle of this Zaдар channel. On the seafront promenade, today we have this beautiful park that stands in front of us, which was planted back in 1953 when Zagar was part of Yugoslavia. Yugoslav authorities decided that they will not allow construction anymore here on the seafront promenade, and they planted this park back in 1953. Today Zadar is the city of Croatia with the biggest number of parks and green surfaces within its old nucleus. And that is something that we are especially proud of here in Zadar.
А вот теперь видно, вот один храм, а вот там второй храм.
Yes.
А вот интересно, что за
For pure communism,
стела такая стоит. Мне кажется, тут прошлись хорошенько
important back then.
итальянцы. Я думаю, она сейчас расскажет. А вот и здесь.
That is the Roman colony.
О,
But we will get to it later on. We'll make a
это что-то очень, очень древнее. Что? И она сейчас расскажет, наверное. Сейчас послушаем.
On the territory of Zadar's Peninsula were conquered by the Romans, and Romans established on the territory of the Zadar's Peninsula a small colony under the name Colonia Julia Jader. The colony was built by following the principles of the Roman urbanism style, and the construction lasted from the 1st century BC until the 3rd century AD. In the 3rd century AD, entire colony was fortified. The city walls were built around the town, and the reconstructed buildings of those city walls are still in front of the house. Zadar was built as a nation by following the principles of the Roman urbanism style. Which is in front of us at the moment follows the traces of that Roman Another street which was going transversally to the peninsula was Decumanus Maximus, and our main street of the city of Zadar today follows the traces of that Roman Decumanus, and it is located behind of the bell tower that you can see in front of us. It connects the west with the east of the peninsula. All the other streets which were built in Zadar back then were parallel to Decumanus or Cardo. In that manner, Colonia Julia Jader was built with a net of streets which were actually creating around 56 small rectangular residential blocks on Zadar's peninsula. In the central part of the colony was located Roman Forum Square, the center of public life back in Roman times, and the surface of that square stands at the moment right in front of us. On the surface of the former Roman Forum Square later on in the past were built the Church of St. Donatus and the Archbishop's Palace, and of course the cathedral which stands in behind. In that Roman period, next to the surface of the Roman Forum Square was also built a basilica. That was constructed in the 2nd and the 3rd century AD, and it was used as the courthouse or town school. Again, reconstructed bases of that basilica are standing in front of us at the moment. And around the surface of the former Roman Forum Square, you will find numerous Roman stone fragments that are at the moment in front of us. All of these Roman stone fragments were excavated on the territory of our Zagar town and was here in this small open-air museum back in 2004, when this part of the plateau which surrounds Roman Forum Square was refurbished by following the idea of our local architect Ante. All of these are fragments of gables, architraves of Roman constructions and palaces, pieces of Roman columns, capitals, bases of columns. Over there are some tombstones and some decorative elements of Roman palaces and edifices. All of that was brought back then here. In order, as I mentioned, to attract tourists again to Zader after the homeland war that we had in the 90s. And also all of these Roman monuments are a nice introduction to our archaeological across the street.
Ну что, чуваки, смотрим на остатки Римской империи. Ё-моё, ее еле выговорил. На остатки Римской империи. Что у нас тут? Так, тут что-то у нас написано. Кому интересно, ребят, можете потом поставить на паузу, когда стрим будет уже доступен в просмотре, ну, или на перемотке, и прочитать, что написано. А тут получается 3 храма. 1, 2 и 3. 3 храма. Меня интересует православный храм. Какой из них? Православный. Что тут такое? Опять что-то рассказывает. Давай послушаем.
That was built in Zadar from the 1st century BC until the 3rd century AD. This is not the original pavement of the square, this is the replica which was made many centuries after. The original Roman Forum Square was closed from 3 sides with a portico of marble columns that were holding a gallery on the top. And that portico was closing the square from the southern side, from the eastern side that follows the stream, and from the opposite northern side. On the ground floor of the portico are located small shops or retailers back in the Roman times. And again, across the path we can see the reconstructed walls of those Roman retailers. On the western part of the Roman Forum Square was standing Roman Capitolian temple consecrated to Juno, Jupiter and Minerva, highest gods in Roman religion. After the fall of the Roman Empire, it is considered that a strong earthquake hit the city back in the 6th century and destroyed that Roman colony that existed on Zadar's peninsula. However, life continued, and after the fall of the Roman Empire, Zadar became part of the Byzantine Empire. In those times of the Middle Ages, at the beginning of the 9th century, on the place of former Roman Forum Square was built this church that stands at the moment in front of us. We call it the Church of Saint Donatus. That originally was consecrated to the Holy Trinity. Donatus was one bishop who lived in Zadar in that early 9th century, and for himself he built this private church as his chapel. Back then, Donatus lived in the Archbishop's Palace, which is the yellow house located in front of us at the moment. And the church is connected with the house of the palace with a corridor, as you can see. The Church of Saint Donatus is the largest pre-Romanesque construction that we have on the territory of the Republic of Croatia. It is 27 meters high with a diameter of 22 meters. And it has a form of double ring. The church is of the cylindrical shape.
Okay.
On the southeastern part of the church. And what is interesting is the fact that we can see the church today exactly as it was described in the 10th century in one book written by the famous Byzantine emperor Constantine Porphyrogenes. In his book about the governing the empire, he was describing his journey through the empire. And he described this church as well. Also, an interesting fact about the church is that in the basis of the church, one can see numerous Roman stone fragments that were recycled or reused in that 9th century to make the basis for the construction of the Church of Saint Donatus. In the interior of the church, one can actually step on the original pavement. Surrounding the spirit in front of the central apse of the church. Donatus is not the saint of the Catholic Church, even though we call the church saint. But he meant a lot to the local people, as in that 9th century he brought here in Zaдар the relics of saints. Among those relics, the relics of our patron Saint Steve and the saint that only our cathedral has been consecrated since that distant 9th century. As I've mentioned, the church was consecrated originally to the Holy Trinity, and it was desacralized in the 18th century, which means that today we no longer use it as a church, but as a venue for exhibitions and concerts because of its excellent acoustics. Yes, mostly for concerts. And today the church is part of the archaeological museum that stands across the street. From here we will walk a little bit on the surface of the former Roman Forum Square until the World War II. Here was located the key market in the old city of Zaдар, and this was one of numerous residential buildings that were surrounding also the church of Saint Donatus. All of that unfortunately was destroyed in the bombardment. So today we have this plain space and this big square.
Я, конечно, не знаю, что это за чуваки, честно говоря, но однозначно они здесь давно.
In front of the Capitolium Temple. And on the top, it was actually holding a statue of a Roman emperor in a supernatural style. This column has the base of a pyramid without holes, and on the top there is a Corinthian style capital. It survived all of these statues of others.
Это чей-то герб.
Это не могу говорить.
In Zaдар, begged them to come here and see what that certain person did. So the person that was chained on the column was exposed to public humiliation. And of course, people were allowed to throw the rocks and all the other things towards the poor person that was chained on the column. The worst punishment was to be left here for 3 days without any food and water. On the top of that column in the 14th century was moved a creature with a body of a lion and wings of an eagle. Written back then was a symbol of Christianity, and it was one of the decorative elements of the cathedral that surrounded it. And people in those Middle Ages were very, very superstitious. They believed that the pagan spirit lives inside of this column, and that is the reason why they put symbol of Christianity on top of it. One pilgrim who visited Zadar back then even wrote that he saw this griffin landing on the top of the column, and when the griffin landed, the evil spirit left the column, and the column broke up. And you can see indeed that it is a bit broken. So, also, here in front of the column, they were once good Roman Capitolium Temple consecrated to Juno, Jupiter, and Minerva, gods that were making Capitolium Trinity, Juno, goddess of fertility of land, protector of women, and supreme goddess in Roman religion, Jupiter, supreme god and husband, Juno, and Minerva, which was equally important back then, that that temple had a portico of these 11 columns, pieces of which you can see in behind. And again, in behind of the portico, there were 3 rooms. In each room, there was a statue of god or goddess in the supernatural style. In front of the temple, there were 2 altars for sacrifices, of which one is incorporated into the base of the Church of Saint Donatus. These bas reliefs are presenting us image of Jupiter to the left. The central one is Medusa, so do not look at it, otherwise you will be petrified here forever. And the third one is again Jupiter, supreme god of human religion, and these bas reliefs are decorative elements of the Roman basilica that we see. And where is the main They
Мы еще там или уже тут? Я не знаю. Мы там или тут? Я тут. Это Задар, это Хорватия. Я полагаю, что мы идем в старый город. Так, ребят, напишите, как со связью, нормальный ли сигнал, потому что мы зашли в старый город, я вижу, что у меня очень слабый интернет стал. Вот такая вот красота.
The Roman Empire, and because of the Christian faith, Anastasia was captured in prison, and at the end of the young life, burned on the fire alive. We believe that her relics were brought in Zatar in the 9th century by Archbishop Donatus, and we believe that those relics are being kept in one small marble sarcophagus on the left lateral altar of Zadar's cathedral. First church was built on this place at the end of the beginning of the 6th century AD, of 3 Roman buildings that were standing within the porch of the Roman Square. That small church has been consecrated to Saint Peter until the 9th century, and this church was provoked and enlarged in the 12th century. The facade was made in the style of Tuscan Romanesque, with these arches without openings in between. This bigger central and in the corners, to the left and to the right, you'll find some unusual decorative elements. Those are animals. To the left from the rose, in the left lateral corner, there is a light, symbol of Saint Mark the Evangelist. And to the opposite side, you'll find there is a gold symbol of Saint Luke the Evangelist. Of the original Romanesque decorative elements, there are also 2 apostles right side from the central cathedral. Unfortunately, very soon after the cathedral was consecrated to Saint Anastasia, Zaдар suffered a massive destruction. In the year 1202, our city was attacked by the Crusaders. The Crusaders did not have enough funds to pay for the transfer of the whole land, as their goal was to liberate Jesus' grain. They asked Venetians for help, and one very wise, old, and blind Venetian doge, Enrico promised to help the Crusaders, but in return they granted two favors to the Venetian Republic, and one of those favors was brought and conquered the city of Zaдар, which was back then one of the wealthiest cities in the Eastern Adriatic coast. In the year 1202, Crusaders, together with the Venetians, returned to the city of Zaдар. They brought the city with horrible crimes around the entire town, and they spent the entire winter living here in Zadar, sleeping inside of the church. Finally, when they left in spring 1202, some of the residents returned and Zadar had to be rebuilt. After the Crusaders left, one of the first things that was rebuilt in Zadar was the cathedral. They then reconstructed in the style of Gothic. On the top of the church, above the central pews, was a silver rose with a Gothic script. And in the lunette, above the entrance to the cathedral, there is the oldest Gothic vestry that we have in this Dalmatian region of ours. And the religion is in the shadow. On the left, there is Saint Christopher, one of Zadar's four veteran saints, and on the right side, the station.
Wrong with the open arm. The Colombian.
The cathedral was reconsecrated under the Archbishop Lauro Peniata in the year 1324, and that is the information which is written in the inscription below this vestry. So far, so it includes the entrance to the cathedral. I to see the cathedral because sometimes they close on Saturdays because they are not part of the church, so when it's
Questions in?